ice bath. Second ice bath.
Good job, B.
Yeah, B. Check that one off my list.
And tie up game winner. Tie him too. Very tired.
Hey, Bronson, you gotta go to the press conference.
Oh, darn it. Sorry.
Is everybody here? I got a tutor.
Hey, guys! Way to go! Let's go!
I take credit for that, too. That's all. What?
What did they want, man?
Oh my God.
That's really sweet.
Sweet 16! Let's get dressed. Let's go home.
Bring it in, bring it in.
All right, guys. Hey.
Hell yeah, boys.
That was more tired than the whole game.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of things we can learn from this, and we got more to play. We know that, okay? But I'm so proud of you guys, how you battled, how you fought, how you wouldn't quit. And it's just a microcosm of what we faced this year. That's right. You know? Back in November and December, we were down 7 with 3 minutes to play. Okay? And you just keep that in mind. That as you go through things in life, as I told the newspaper people or the TV out there, they asked about my dad. I said, I've had an extra assistant coach this year. I now have to report to the NCA. Okay? Because I have an extra one up above that's been helping me out. Okay? I said a guardian angel, pun intended.
I didn't catch it. I get it. I get it.
Again, like I've told you, we got here together, we advanced together, continue to stick together.
Yes, sir.
You guys are special.
Let's go! Philly on 3! Philly on 3! 1, 2, 3, Philly!
Hell yeah, get all them toiletries, boy.
Yeah, all this still here.
Xavier is with us. Head coach Chris Mack, James Farr represent the Musketeers. We're going to ask Chris to start off with a statement on the game, and then we'll go to questions for both gentlemen. Chris, please.
Well, obviously, not the outcome that we expected, wanted. Really, really tough locker room. Told the players in the locker room that sun will shine tomorrow. Doesn't feel like it, but it always does. And just grateful. We had an unbelievable season. It's hard to end this way. Give Bronson Koenig all the credit in the world. I don't know if I've ever been on the wrong end. 2 dagger threes like that in the last 11 seconds of the game.
Start on this side. Number 2's here.
Coach, what goes through your mind when you see the ball actually go through the hoop there?
Well, I knew it was good. I mean, in terms of beating the buzzer, you know, I've been around this game long enough, and I knew it was good. It's just, you know, it's heartbreaking. You know, guys like James and Remy have given this program their all, given their teammates their all, and you know, we didn't play poorly, and that's always tough to take. But to answer your question, just disappointment when it went through the net.
Coach, they got the ball with like 4 seconds left and called a timeout with 2. What was your plan defensively at that point, knowing that there was just 2 seconds to get off a shot?
Well, we couldn't have played better defense. You know, we put Jalen on the ball so that they couldn't lob it under the basket and get a quick tip. We told our players that if they ran into any screening actions off the ball to go ahead and switch it. You know, but it had to be a contact switch so that we didn't have 2 defenders on one player and none on another. And Remy did a great job. The screens really didn't get contact with him. Kid caught it going away from the basket and turned around and shot a contested 3. And, you know, Remy did his job, didn't foul him, made him take a tough shot. You know, 99 times out of 100, you know, I've been in that position a lot. The ball doesn't go in, you go to overtime. But, again, he's a senior, and I think he's a senior. Terrific player. Big-time shot.
You might have just covered this, Chris, but you talk a little bit. Remy did a really nice job on that kid tonight, and to have it happen at the end that way, can you just kind of talk about that a little bit?
I think I just did. The first 3 got caught on a switch, and, you know, there was probably when he made the first 3 to tie the game, there was probably 11 seconds, I think, when it went in. And, you know, I was contemplating really trying to get our players' attention to go ahead and foul, but I wanted to get it under 10. You know, there's just too much time to play with if you foul with 11 seconds left. He makes both free throws. Now you have to inbound the ball against pressure. And I knew we were still going to get the ball back, which we did. And, you know, again, he made 2 of the biggest daggers I've ever been around.
Right here. Thank you.
James, obviously very tough ending. Can you speak a little bit just to the season? I mean, your senior season, you really had a lot of records broken. You guys did, you know, had an impressive year. Can you just speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, I had a marvelous senior year. You know, not just talking stats-wise, just the morality of the team, you know, the chemistry we all had. You know, for it to all be over now, I'm going to miss it. But, you know, like Coach Mack said, the sun shines tomorrow. I'll definitely cherish this for the rest of my life.
Anything else for Xavier? Yes. Here.
James, I noticed right when the game was over, the first thing you did was hug some teammates. Can you talk about that particular moment, what was going through your head right then?
Yeah, at that moment, I felt like the shot was good myself, you know, so I just tried to stay strong, you know, try to hold it all in, just tell my teammates I love them, going to miss playing with them, you know, and that's pretty much it.
Anything else for the Musketeers? All right, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The victorious Wisconsin Badgers are with us now. Per custom, we're going to ask the head coach, Greg Gard, to make a statement on the game, and then we will go to questions for all four gentlemen on the dais. Greg, please.
Thank you. As I told the team in the locker room, this game was kind of a microcosm of our season from a standpoint of November, December, January. Was like 3 minutes ago being down 7 or 8, whatever we were, and this group just would not quit, would not give in. Knew we had some fight left in us, and eventually the ball was going to go in, and we were able to get some stops and key rebounds at opportune times. And I can't be more proud of a group of young men that have withstood in every challenge that's come at them, every adversity piece that's been thrown their way. They're an unbelievable group to coach, and they listen, they respond, they work. It's not always perfect. Tonight wasn't perfect, but it's a group that has really bonded together. And when you have a group that's this tight and growing tighter by the day, I think you can have some special things happen. And like I said, the resiliency of this group is second to none in terms of their will to work for each other and try to find a way. And that's what they did tonight. With that, I think we'll take your questions.
Yep, questions? Start. 2 on the right-hand side.
Coach, how cool was it that it was a Wisconsin player that sank the winning shot?
Well, they're all Wisconsin players. I know what you mean. Bronson's from the state, from La Crosse. But everybody else, the other 16 that were on the trip with us here have contributed and helped us. This was a team win, and obviously Bronson hit 2 big shots there at the end. And that was the thing I've tried to tell him, keep shooting. I know the last couple games the ball hasn't gone in like he's wanted it to, but he's too good of a shooter, and we've got too good of offensive players at spots that I've seen him do enough things that you just can't lose confidence in him and tell him to keep working, and it'll turn out okay. And he did. I mean, those 2 he hit at the end, it was a busted play in that possession with about 11 to go, and he was able to make a play and obviously tie it. We weren't looking to tie. We were looking to just get a quick 2 and then play from there. But and then the shot there at the end, just how we drew it up, right, guys? Ethan made the pass, and we had 2 options on it, and obviously it always looks good when the ball goes in. But like I said, he's a big-time player, and he's hit a lot of big shots for us through his career, and hopefully he's got a lot more in him.
Go ahead.
For Bronson, 2 quick questions here. First, did you know the winning shot was good when it left at your hand? And secondly,
What's going through your head when the ball has gone through the net and your teammates are dogpiling on top of you?
Well, I told Ethan before the play even started, I knew I wanted the ball, so I went up to him and told him, pass it to me if I'm open. And I got open. He did a great job of hitting me. And to answer your question, I knew it was going in before it even left my hand, because that's a shot I practiced quite a bit pregame with Nigel Hayes, one-on-one, and I do a lot of step backs in the corner, and I just let it fly, and I knew it was going in. So, I can't really explain the feeling after I hit it. I think it was my first real game winner. Well, kind of like that. So, yeah, it was a lot of excitement.
Left-hand side, gentlemen.
Ethan, you said last week, the excitement of playing in the NCAA tournament, you watched it your entire life. What's it mean to be part of what now will be an NCAA lore, that winning shot and being on the floor with that?
I mean, it's something really special to be with this group of guys that, you care for just like family. And, credit to Coach for drawing up the play, credit to all the guys on the floor. Vito took some guys with him, Nigel took some guys with him, and then left Bronson open to create the shot, and credit Bronson for making the shot.
In the back row, Dawn.
Greg, I don't know if you expected to get the ball back, with 4 seconds or with any time left. What's the process there of, letting it play out or advancing it, taking a timeout? How far in advance were you thinking of it, or was it just a gut feel?
Well, the first thing was the play Showalter made to get the charge was huge. And that's why that kid's on the floor and why he's in this program. The toughness he brings, the glue that he is in between the bricks in our team, so to speak. That was as big a time play as, that one won't be talked about as much. It should be. That was a huge defensive play. But then to get back to your play, I actually contemplated I was going to take a timeout, but then Nigel came running over to me and said, "Hey, let's advance it and then take it." And I said, "All right, we'll do that," and that's what we decided to do. And fortunately, we were able to get far enough down the floor to be able to get to that timeout. Like I said, then it's a matter of at least you want to have a chance. You give yourself a chance, and they ran what we wanted, what we talked about to perfection. So. It always, like I said, it looks good when the ball goes in. It looks good when you can advance it as far as you can. They did it very well in terms of the time we had to talk about it, how we wanted to do it. They executed it perfectly.
Back to the left.
Ethan, there's a lot of pressure on you in that situation inbound the basketball. Were there any nerves to make sure that you got it in the right hand and made sure you got it in and give your teammates an opportunity to get a shot off?
A little bit. Obviously, you got to make a smart decision. We didn't have any timeouts left, but I knew my personnel. I knew I was just going to hit the open guy, and when coach trusts you to take the ball out, that puts confidence behind you as well. So that was an easy pass for me to make, and Bronson just knocked it down.
Up against the wall here on the right, gentlemen.
For all four of you, can you really go back to Northwestern on January 12th and think about this moment right now?
We'll start with Vito, come to Ethan, Bronson, and here with Greg.
Yes, it's definitely nice to see how far we've come from that moment, and I think that was the most pivotal moment that we had as a team. That was the time where we really stepped back and reevaluated ourselves, and really had to look in the mirror, each one of us individually, and see what we could do better. And so now, this is just an example of how it's paid off for us.
Yeah, we had that players-only meeting, and we knew we were in danger of not making the NCAA tournament if we kept up the play. And we believed we'd be in the tournament. It was just a matter of when we turned the season around.
Just like Ethan said, we knew we were at risk for not making the tournament. We didn't want to be that only Wisconsin team in however many years not to make the tournament. So as leaders, we knew we all had to step up and call a team meeting and let all our feelings and emotions out, being such a new team with new guys that haven't had as much experience. So I thought that was very good for us. And after that, obviously, the results showed for themselves. And we just banded together really closely and that's what we've been doing the past couple games too. That's why we've been successful. So we just need to keep doing that.
You want me to
Go
answer
ahead.
too?
Yes, you do.
All right. I've always had confidence in them, even when we were 1-4 and 9-9. And the thing that I've talked about, and they're probably tired of hearing me use the word process, but to stick to the process and not deviate from the plan. And I saw a lot of good things when we were 1-4, that we were headed in the right direction. And a couple of those came down to the last minute of the game, like this, and we didn't come out on top. You know, we have Mello Trimble hit a shot against us, very similar situation, tie game. He hits one to win it. But I saw a lot of good things happening in that part of that process, that we were getting better every day. And rather than focus on the last 30 or seconds or a minute of a game, I tried to focus on the other 50, 60, 70 possessions, and what could we do better, and how can we get better in those areas. And that's where they've grown so much. And then if you can get yourself in the right frame of mind and work through those things, they practiced better, they worked harder, they became closer off the floor, the locker room chemistry got better, and then eventually all those things started to show on a more consistent basis on the floor, and then results started coming from that. So, like I said, I wasn't too concerned about it. I just tried to focus on every day and made sure they were in the same frame of mind. Don't worry about February or March. We got to take care of December and January, and it's one day at a time, and that's what they've done.
We are halfway through this session. We have 2 questions up. Go, please.
Bronson, your pregame ritual with Nigel, when you work on that, how much are you consciously thinking about that exact type of scenario there?
I mean, I'm not really thinking too much about, game winners or anything like that. I'm just thinking, the rule is that we can't drive to the basket, so my only thought is how am I going to get the ball over, 6'8" Nigel Hayes. So, step backs and just watching Steph Curry, trying to emulate him, and yeah. I mean, there's nothing really more to it, really.
In the back.
This is for Coach. How long do you guys enjoy this until you start preparing for Notre Dame?
We'll enjoy it tonight on the flight back home. And then I'll put together our plan with our staff on how we're going to approach the week. But, these guys have had 2 toe-to-toe battles with Pittsburgh and now Xavier, 2 very physical games, and they've earned the right to get here in this tournament. They've obviously earned their way through Friday and this one here tonight. So I always make sure that they get a chance to enjoy it, and we'll work on that with the staff, with Notre Dame, maybe starting already on the flight home. But these guys, and we'll enjoy this for, at least through tonight for sure.
Left-hand side.
Ethan, what's it like to experience a game like this after having to sit out all last year and know how your high school career ended? How is it like to celebrate a win like this?
Yeah, going back to high school, obviously I had a tough out. We were undefeated and we lost that game, and then, but like you said, Vito and I were talking about it, where obviously he contributed more than I did last year, but it wasn't as much as he wanted to, and obviously it wasn't as much as I wanted to, but I saw how fun it was and experienced how fun it was making a trip to the Final Four and the national championship, and I thought, how special it would be if I was contributing more in another run like that.
On the aisle.
This question is for Coach. Since you were named the permanent head coach of Wisconsin and you're offered an extension, how do you feel about your job security right now?
Did I get offered an extension already?
Well, there's things wafting around this room and
check
the internet. Or
guy in the red sweater. He's in control of the contract. Is the ink dry on it, Justin? The ink is dry, right? Okay. You know what? I've never worried about that. I didn't worry about the interim tag. One of the first things I told these guys, probably the second day, no, it was more than the second day. It was beyond that. I waited for it to come out in the media because I knew they were going to say the word audition. This was my audition for the job. And I told them the first day it came out in the media, guys, it's not an audition. I'm not going to allow the next 3-4 months, whatever it is, impact what has happened in my career over the previous 26 years. And you're not going to allow that to creep into your mind, too. You're not playing for my job. We're going to work for each other. I want these guys to have the best experience possible. We only have one senior. Let's have Jordan Smith have the best senior year, the best experience he can have. And whatever happens down the road happens. But I was more focused on every single day and making sure these guys learned to work harder, practice harder, took care of the ball better, rebounded better. That was what my focus was on, and they can attest to it because I've been a pain in their butt a lot in terms of trying to play the right way and didn't worry about what was going to happen down the road for me. Since that's happened, I've been very outwardly thankful to them for what they've done for me and my family, but that doesn't affect me. I've always had a 1-year contract. They gave me a 5 now. Wow. But it doesn't change my approach. You know, like I said, I'm still can be just as boisterous in those timeout huddles as I was when I had an interim contract. As now I have a 5-year one. It doesn't change who I am, and it never will.
All the way in the back.
Bronson, in the locker room, Zach said you have a flair for the dramatic. Is that an accurate assessment of your style and mentality?
I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that. I guess. I mean, I like to have the ball in my hands in those kind of situations because I believe in myself, and I know my coaches and teammates believe in me, and that's what they did, and it turned out all right.
Left-hand side.
Coach Gard, why do you have so much confidence in Ethan to inbound a ball, a freshman, in that situation?
Well, he's the biggest. He was the biggest on the floor, so he could see over guys. Also, in terms of the other 4, if you looked at stats, he hasn't attempted a three-point shot yet this year. So that's his off-season project, is going to work on his perimeter shooting. But he inbounds the ball against pressure. He does that most of the time. And with how we had our little set that I drew up in the timeout configured, that's where I wanted guys at. So had it been something different come to my mind at that point in time, I might have switched people around. But he's been in that position, and his size, I think, helped to be able to look over guys. Now, obviously, they put a big guy on him too, but he's been in that position, maybe not on the sideline, but in a full court position. And just kind of the lineup I had at that time, that's where I wanted people at.
Standing up on the right.
How does this compare with the win last year against Kentucky?
Who was the question for?
Any of them.
Yeah. Bronson, you were there?
Was. It's kind of hard to compare because, it's 2 totally different teams and 2 totally kind of different games. But, I mean, I'm just so proud of how far we've come, and, no one really believed that we'd get to this point. And for us to all collectively just believe in each other, and that's how we got this done. And it feels great to get to this point with a group of guys that I can call my family. So, yeah, it's a great feeling.
All the way in the back.
For Bronson. Bronson, I apologize if you've been asked this before, but on that last play, I know you weren't the first option, but did you think you were going to get a clean look, and were you as aggressive tonight as you had talked about being yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty disappointed in myself, just the way I've been playing, not only the way I've been shooting, but just, I haven't been being the floor general, the facilitator that I can be. I'm way too good to, not be a facilitator like I can be. But like you were saying before, I knew I was going to get the ball. And what exactly was your question again? What was the first part of that question? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I told Ethan, if I'm open, hit me. And I kind of already preset what I was going to do in my head, just a step back, corner 3. And that's something I practice quite a bit. So felt great coming off my hands, and I knew I was going in.
We are under 3 minutes to go. 2 questions are up. Go, please.
You want to arm wrestle over it? Okay.
I would lose that. All right. This is for Coach Gard. When you guys were down by 9 with under 6 minutes left, what thoughts are going through your head, and what does it say about the resiliency of the team to come back and finish like they did?
Well, it was only a 3-possession game, and that's what I thought if we could get to where it was within 5, we can chip 4 off of that, that we, within the last minute and a half or so that we would have a chance. I was able to mix and match a little bit with a little bit of pressure to stir the pot a little bit with 2 possessions. Even though we didn't turn them over, I thought we disrupted a little bit there. And then we have to make plays. We had to make plays, and we got stops. I mean, to be able to hold this team, it's been averaging 80 points a game, to 17 below their average. And then obviously individually, Blewett is a heck of a player. To hold him almost 10 below his average. Defensively, this team has grown so much in the last, month. And really here over this weekend, these are probably maybe two of the best defensive performances we've had all year. And then you combine to get the ball to go in a little bit in the second half, even though we could shoot the free throw line better. That's where you always want to give yourself a chance in the last 4 minutes. So that's where I thought this group has grown so much. November, December, down 9, they might have wilted and waved the white flag. This time of year, they're not doing that. They've grown and matured in a lot of ways, and obviously that's the result.
Back to the left.
Ethan, when Bronson tells you to get him the ball, is it easier to inbound the ball when you know somebody wants it and somebody's ready to take a shot like that?
Yeah, I mean, Nigel and I were talking right before Bronson came up to me about where he wanted it. So, I mean, I was kind of waiting for Nigel to go open because he came up to me, and then when Bronson approached me and said that he wanted it, that's something special to have two leaders that want the ball when it's crunch time, and I think that's a testament to both those guys and how much they've grown.
Anything else for the back? All the way in the back, I see you.
Can't miss the head. Greg, I'm just curious. Showalter didn't do much offensively tonight, I guess, in terms of points, but if you've been asked this before, I apologize. How big was that charge he drew against a pretty good player who can get to the rack?
Yeah, I wasn't asked about it, Jeff, but I brought it up before you came in. That was the biggest play, maybe is the 3. It doesn't get talked about and won't get talked about as much, but that was huge to be able to draw that charge, and he even negated an attempt to try to get by him earlier in the possession, and then to be able to get that. I mean, that's why that kid's in the program. I mean, he does a lot of things that don't show up in the stat sheet, and that was an example of one of them.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Go get Notre Dame.